Hey, budding lawyers, welcome to the podcast. Today we have Advocate Avinash Das with us. Advocate Avinash Das practices in Delhi, majorly in Delhi High Court and other district and session court, but also he has matters in Noida, Gurgaon, and other magistrate courts as well. So today we are going to talk about how to start your individual practice early, because Avinash is one guy who I know, and I don't remember any other guy or any other person who I know personally or in my friend circle who has started his practice like independently at a very early stage or just after his college. So Avinash has done that. So Avinash, how did you start and how did you go through it? Like,
See, Prasanna, like a lot of people, I'm not unique in this. So, like a lot of people, now we discussed all this idea during our final years of college. Like I was saying, so what happened was that, but then right after, what happened is we joined different teams. So it just happened that one day we met. We were sitting together at the canteen, and one of my friends just brought this up. So we discussed about it. We had a rational discussion. We had this entire plan discussed, and finally we decided it was time that we take the big step per se, and so we just went for it, and we joined up. So it's a team. So also like you're saying, independent practice. So what I feel is, independent practice has a connotation attached, right? Like, oh, you must be only dealing with your own matters. You'll be only dealing with your own matters and all that. So what I did, like what we did, as a group, we have teamed up. So it's a teamwork, right? We work with each other. We work on each other's matters. We help each other. Okay, we can consult each other. So it's basically a teamwork per se, right? I personally refrain from using the word independent practice because it's because of this connotation that people have. Okay, you must only be dealing with your own matters. So it's not that we freelance working. Yeah. So
and you'll be having your office, personal office, and all. That's not how it is.
We have a shared office, right? So we have a shared office. We work together. We share resources there. Yeah, so that's basically we work in each other's case also, and it's not like we don't do freelancing. Okay, it will be hard to believe, but there are lawyers who have too much on the plate, right? So they require trustworthy lawyers where they can the lawyers can assist them in certain matters. So yeah, so we also so I don't shy away from doing freelance work also. But there's if someone needs help in evidence or in the final argument, I'm always up for it, and I have good relations with such lawyers, so it's it doesn't hurt. I'm an open lawyer per se, right?
Yeah. So after completing your LLB, you may not start directly with your having your own office unless and until you belong to the generation of lawyers, like your parents, grandparents are being lawyers. Yeah. So if you're a first generation lawyer, even if you're not able to start your independent practice completely, you can do something like this. Like you can join someone's network, or within your friend circles itself who are also lawyers, you can decide to take up work and help each other and start independently. Kind of like not completely independent, but this is you gain some percentage of independence here, right?
Right. So when we decided to take this step, so we collectively had certain clients lined up. So we didn't jump irrationally. Okay, we just this was our dream, or we had talked about it. We didn't. We have our own clients. We can help each other because by the time we were always consulting each other. Okay, I have this matter. How should I proceed? Okay, have you dealt with this matter? So we were all, the work was kind of jumbled up already. So when we started, it was more or less, formalizing the process. So yeah, so this is how people can do that also. Yeah, you don't have, working in a team has its own benefit because you can, anyways, you can work together. So you help each other. You're in the same profession. If you already have a, friendship bond, so it kind of helps helps you move forward.
And it's quite not possible. It's quite not possible for a lawyer to be completely independent, because that's why senior lawyers need us, junior lawyers, because they have a lot of matters every day in multiple courts, and they can't be present in every court every day. So that's why we need other lawyers. They may be your juniors or maybe your colleagues or friends, right?
It's an ecosystem. It's a eco. I think I got the gist of your question. It's basically it's an ecosystem where we help each other out, right? That's our fraternity is very strong in that sense. There's seniors that I consult to, and they're always happy to help. Yeah, there's a very friendly relationship, And I'd say that networking is very pretty much important. Even if you're an independent lawyer or you're working under someone, it's much better if you connect to different people, and it helps you in the long run. Yeah, so that's one thing to it.
So how do you choose matters? Like, do you have some set of like criteria or requirements in your mind, or within your friends you have decided that you will take up only these matters and you will skip other matters or something like that?
Yeah, like I was telling you before, we can't afford to be choosy at this stage, right? So if there's a
Yeah.
particular matter coming up, if see, one client is not written somewhere that a single type of client will only bring you certain type of cases. Like if I know a client and he has a criminal, supposedly I was dealing with the civil cases, and suddenly he has a criminal complaint against him, so he like to approach me, right? Because he knows me personally, so he brings me this criminal matters. So now I can't just say no, no, no. I'm just going to do with civil matters because I don't have that luxury yet. So I take it up. This is why it helps you being in a team, right? So I have a friend who is very good at criminal law. So this is the first thing I approach him and say, okay, this is what it is. There's a complaint. What is it that I should do? So he tells me, okay, initially do this, do this. Then I, of course, then I go through, my own materials. I study a little bit, and then I proceed further. So this is one of the biggest advantages of working in a team.
Yeah. So I got your point. So you can't be choosy, right? But it also conveys a message that you have to have the knowledge of like everything. Like at least you have to try gain knowledge of every particular subject. You can't also build your expertise. Like you can build your expertise. You can't be like promote yourself as an expert of a particular subject only. Even if you may be having much knowledge about it, but if one comes to you asking something regarding some other law or some other topic where you are not practicing, then you have to help in with regard to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly like you don't choose the expertise chooses you. Because you deal with a particular matter over time and you gain some expertise, and you feel confident in those matters, or you have templates of how to proceed. So that helps, yeah. But we have to keep an open mind. I still deal with cases that I'm dealing for the first time. People come with me, okay, yeah, so this is a consumer matter which I have not heard at all. This is an example. So then I go through the procedure. I learn, okay, what is a Section 12 complaint? So I learn this through trial and error. This is why it's practice. Yeah, you do make mistakes and you do, learn from it. So it's yeah, you'll have to be open. Yeah. I think by starting out, you can't be choosy. This is a luxury you only get when you're working under a senior who has built his expertise, who is known to, okay, I'm good at criminal, I'm good at civil, I'm good at this. So somehow you'll only be, so it helps you. I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you a hypothetical example. So if what happens is, if you have joined a chamber which is very good at criminal law, so what happens is you basically working in that chamber, it builds you a reputation. So when you go independent from there, you have a goodwill attached to it, right? Like I learned, the criminal law from the best. So if that helps you, that helps, bringing matters to you of a particular type. But if even then, even if those lawyers, they might get a majority of the matters as criminal matters, but then again, they can't be choosy and saying, okay, I won't take any other matter. Because if you're going independent and I don't know if they have very good savings or very good connections, then it's a different story. But if you just decide, okay, I have to go independent, I have to grow, and you can't be choosy. There might be people who might, I'll stick to this particular field because I feel very strongly towards it. But otherwise, as many people as I know who tend to go independent, they're always open for different matters.
Right. So there may be certain problems which you would have faced. Like what were these problems which you faced initially?
Yeah, so financial management is a big one, right? Obviously, finally, you have to arrange your finances, and you will have to have enough savings, or you will have to have financial support from someone, either it be your family or someone. So that is one. I think apart from that, it's that you have to manage everything. What I mean is, you have to manage. You have to talk to the clients. You'll have to do all the clerical works, be pagination, uploading, or anything. Then you'll have to attend the court hearings yourselves. Then you'll have to run from one court to the other, because you're basically you are the center of it, right? You have all the responsibilities. So it's a little bit overwhelming at times. Yeah. So I think apart from that, you pretty much you like the process of it, but then the responsibility is something that you'll have to deal with.
To sum it up, it is like one is financial management, and two that you yeah, and you are the only responsible person for everything. Like you have to be the senior, you have to be an expert, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a clerk, everything. Right.
Right. Because I don't know. You probably won't be able to employ a munshi from the very start. So you'll have to know all the procedures and know-hows, right? How to get a certified copy, how to file a matter, how to remove the objection. So what is the listing branch? PFRC कैसे करते हैं? All that you will have to get to know. And it's a little bit. It's not about getting it to know, but you'll have to take out time for everything. So when I initially started this practice, working together in a team, so I remember my timetable got totally messed up. So I used to go back at 2 o'clock at the night. There was no time. I could say, okay, some days I would be unexpectedly, I'll be totally free. I have nothing to do. And some days I'll be like, okay, I can't get a minute to myself. So I have been on both sides, and this is one. Yeah, so it has its own difficulty, but it has its own perks as well. So I would say that.
Yeah. So there is this thing in mind of most of the people that if you want to be a successful lawyer, then you have to go to Mumbai or you have to go to Delhi or some major metro city like that, and then build your practice there or practice under some senior there and then grow. So is it obviously there are valid reasons for that, but can young lawyers start their independent practice from other towns, be it 2-tier cities as well?
मैंने तो अपना practice Delhi से start किया, so I don't know if I can attest to the difficulties of others in the question. But what I believe is that anyone who has connections, who has established lawyers in their family, will probably make it regardless of the place, right? So if you have established lawyers in your family, you're probably going to make it somehow. Okay, you can start your independent practice. You have a client base, shared client base from your family, so it helps. But for first generation lawyers, also I think so. It's for first generation lawyers also. I think it's equally difficult anywhere. See, does Delhi provide more opportunities? Of course, Delhi and Mumbai will obviously provide more opportunities, but at the same time, there's going to be heavy competition. Is it like what Delhi has 55,000 active practicing lawyers. So the competition is very stiff as well, right? And the rent in Mumbai and Delhi as well. And what is the waiting?
Yeah, I know.
The chambers in Delhi. What is the waiting list of chambers in Delhi? What 25 years or something? So it's roughly the same. This is totally in my opinion, of my limited opinion, knowledge what I have on this matter. But I think so. It's pretty tough anywhere if you're a first generation lawyer.
So from that question, I would like to know that have you applied for getting that chamber in Delhi?
You always have to be optimistic, so I have. I don't know when I will really get those. Yeah. It's more of a custom when you get your membership from bar association. The first thing you do. Okay, be hopeful.
Okay.
So this is what we've been hearing from our judges also. Okay, when recently when Justice Mulidhar was retiring, in a speech, in a farewell speech, he told the day he got appointed as a High Court judge is the day he got his chamber in the Supreme Court. So he just went in, he unlocked the door, went inside, and he came back because he had his joining as a judge of the Delhi High Court.
So, but that he didn't use his chamber that it was of no use.
Not once.
Yeah. So after becoming a High Court judge, he was in the sequence of getting the chamber, and it took so many years to get him a chamber, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So speech, he said that he was working out of a van before, and he had applied for the chamber. So, and he had been working with a lot of people, and he was a well-known advocate, of course. And the day he got his the day he had to get appointed or something like that, and he got his chamber.
I haven't heard this concept of chambers and all in Mumbai. So I think it is restricted to Delhi or some northern state.
There are chambers in Mumbai, right?
It is for sure not like a custom or so that you have to apply for a chamber once you get a sanad.
In Mumbai, I have actually worked in Mumbai also, so I know they have small rooms they have taken on rent. So
Yeah, that's for them. That's there.
scarcity of land. Yeah, Mumbai has such a scarcity of land. They convert small plots of land into multiple offices also. So I think that may be the reason. But Delhi, there are so many districts in Delhi itself. So there are a lot of district courts and a lot of chamber blocks popping up here and there. So I think people are more optimistic in Delhi than in Mumbai. That might be the case.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So, how do you get clients as a young lawyer when you start?
Networking, yes, networking. See, in our profession, right, you cannot solicit it or advertise your work, right? The only form of marketing that you are allowed to do is like mouth to word marketing. That is basically mouth to mouth publicity. So what I would suggest people and what I did myself was, let people around me know that I'm a capable lawyer. So, when the opportunity came, I gave it my 200%. I made a splash. I left a memorable impression, I hope. And, and I just hope that they will recommend me to others. So that's how I did. And also, don't shy away from distributing your visiting cards. Make them cheap if need be. Keep distributing your visiting cards. Most of them will probably discard it, but some of them do keep it in their wallets. And if when time comes, they might require legal assistance. Personally, it hasn't panned out that much for me, but I'm still optimistic. Like I said, I'm a very optimistic person.
This one thing is nice, that networking and keep distributing your visiting cards. I think many people are reluctant to doing that, right?
Yeah. Be shameless. Be shameless, man.
Nice. So surviving litigation is tough. Did you take up any other work apart from any work related to lawyers or litigation to survive at the initial stage?
So Prasanna, I'll be extremely honest. I had my family support, so I was lucky enough to focus just on litigation. But that being said, I did some odd, law-related jobs here and there. Like I did, draft some agreements for my family friends here and there. But that's it for me. But it's not. Yeah, but I do know people who have, taken up business on the side to sustain themselves in the litigation field. So it's not something that's unheard of or uncommon. But I personally haven't. So I just focused on the litigation aspect of it.
So, can you just give some examples, like what type of work do usually lawyers take up to just, pay their bills?
I have a friend who runs a coaching center side by side. So, law coaching and for flats and all that. Now 2020 has been a tough year for lawyers. So, it's more of it's like a stalemate. So, there are people who have taken this opportunity. One of my very dear friends here, who is also, I work with. So what he did is he started, making sanitizers and masks. So anything you will have to do, you'll have to do something. And it's not just any mask. Yeah, he's a very, his family is full of doctors, so he made a real good one. So so you might do anything to survive. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. You have previously interned in Delhi High Court. What work did you usually do, and how was your experience working there?
The experience was pretty good. Yeah, the experience was pretty good. As interns, our sole objective is to grasp as much knowledge as we can, learn as much as we can, while impressing our seniors, of course. So yeah, as for the work what I did, my routine was pretty much reaching the court before my senior day. I always had I had this diary replicated. So what I used to do is I used to take out my phone and I used to research some case laws or something, not for the matters that were listed that day, but in fact for the matters that were listed the next day. And I done all the citation case notes, and if I have certain points to add on, so I used to do this. And only after that I used to take up the case files, by the way, because if the matter is coming tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to get the file, because sir file apne paas rakhenge, wo padhenge, he'll probably take it home also. So I won't get a chance. So basically, if the matter is on day 3, I used to read the file on day 1, and then day 2 and 3 I used to find case laws and citations. So that was my routine. So I followed this, but I don't know how it worked well or no.
So basically, the work was regarding research.
The one you are talking about, I believe it's about research. Yeah. Because very initially also I had worked in Delhi High Court, but back then interns were. It's only in the later stages of law school that they actually take you seriously. Before that, it's more of hearing the court hearings, trying to figure out the procedures and everything. So back then, I remember I used to stick to the munshi. I was like, "Bhai, mujhe procedures समझा दे. How do you file things? How do you get the objections?" So I was totally, which is very important, by the way. This is very important. I would actually suggest interns to do that more. But then, yeah, first time I interned in the High Court, I did this. The second time, I was more in the researching and legal assistant form of
Yeah, you pitched in into one very important point that the munshi is very important. I think by munshi you are referring to the clerk, right?
Right, right, yeah. The clerk.
Yeah, for law students, this thing is very important. Like many people think that once you graduate, you are a lawyer, you start working. It's like going to courts, arguing matters, and all that stuff. But even filing a matter has a lot of things. You must know the process. You must a lawyer who just started his practice. If he is given this work of filing a matter, he may not be able to do that, right?
Right. Totally. I would say, see, law schools don't teach you, how they don't teach you all these procedures and everything. And when you come into the field right away, you feel like, okay, what have I learned? How is it useful here? Okay, substantial law. How much of that is making my daily life easier? I don't know. So yeah, the clerks are really helpful, man. And if you have good relations with them, so it's much better. So I have always stuck with them. Okay, भाई बता दो क्या कैसे सिखा दे तो it helps, and that too, if you think about starting your own practice, you must know all this, because either you have a bunch or you don't. If you don't, then clearly you will have to do all the work yourself. But if you do, I'm not saying all clerks do this, but a lot of clerks, they kind of take you for a ride. So you'll have to know the procedure so that you can counter check them. Okay, so by listing में क्या कर रहे हैं, इतना टाइम क्या कर रहे हैं, don't we know how it works? हमको मत बना. So this is general conversation you have with your clerks. Once you know how the procedure works. If you don't, he's going to take you for a ride.
Okay, so let's move to something interesting to our viewers. Probably you must have heard about our lawyer stories. So please tell us a story or an incident from your legal career which is very memorable to you.
Yeah, see, I don't know if this experience qualifies for a story per se, but I hope it provides a lesson of what not to do or how not to mess things up. Yeah, so this happened to me when I just started my practice. Relatively, it's been like a year or so since I got enrolled, and I got this recovery matter on my hand. So now that recovery matter, it wasn't of any very substantial amount. It was in the 3-5 lakh range. So and at the time I was engulfed in much larger matters, recovery and other matters. So somewhere in my mind, I had this idea that okay, I'll be dealing with this matter a little later, like 3 or 4 weeks later. So now fast forward 3 months, it's totally slipped my mind, and this hits me. So I call for the files, I read through it, I go through it, and then I figure, I realize that the limitation period has already expired. It's now a time bar. So now I am a little worried. I'm not a little worried. I am very worried. And
but why did you delay it?
No. I see what happened was I had a lot of matters at that time, right? So this is one of the matters which he had a site. It was for an account of his, so the proprietor. So what he did was, he just dropped by. He had I was dealing with his matters only, okay, a lot of his matters only. But this is one of those matters, okay, it's been so much time, it's a running account and he's not paid it yet, so it's to be dealt clear. So I said, okay, I had already sent a legal notice in that matter also. So I had some idea, okay, I'll have to file it later. But since I was already dealing with, larger matters there, so somewhere in my mind I had, had this idea, okay, let me see whether the other party sends a reply or not. Let me just wait for it, wait and watch and all that thing. So I just thought, in 3-4 weeks time, I'll start to draft it and I'll file it subsequently. So this is what was going in my head. So now what happened, like 3 months later, I realized on something, I was talking to somebody and I realized, okay, I have a similar matter and I'm not looking into it. So now I call for the file and everything, and I realize that the limitation has already expired. So now I call up the client. I tell him what's happening. I pacify him. Okay, he's dealing with it and all that. I ask him, okay, send me all the files regarding the account, whether it be any documents, accounts, ledgers, communications. It doesn't matter. You find it relevant or not. Just send it to me. Okay, let me go through it. So I remember it's a Saturday. It was a Saturday back then, and the proprietor, he sends one of his boys, and he comes at 10 o'clock at the night with 3 bags full, of documents at 10 o'clock. So I was still at the office and I was like, ki, yaar, ab kya karna? I don't know whether I should go home or not, because even if I go home, it's going to be on my mind. So I just said, ki, okay, let me just go through the plethora of documents right in front of me, and I started going through it one by one. So yeah, so now what happened is like it took me nearly the entire night. It was nearing morning when I actually found this one correspondence between the defendant and the proprietor, which in which the defendant had very casually said, कि हाँ हाँ मुझे पता है I have to pay so much or something. On the he said something on those lines over the Google Messenger app, right? So now I just kept this aside. I like, okay, let me look through the app. So I took out the limitation app. I started reading it. I went through it and I found this one section, section 18. Very briefly, I'll tell you what section 18 is. It's basically that when the defendant acknowledges his liability before the limitation period expires, then a fresh limitation period would start, basically, right? But such acknowledgement must be in
Okay.
and must be signed. So the keyword here was that it must be in writing and it must be signed.
Signed.
So I thought to myself, like, this alone doesn't help me. So again, I like shall I say, Manu Patra khulte and let's look into things. What is the settled principle in there? So it took me a while. It's already Sunday, it's nearing afternoon and everything. So I haven't showered. I've stayed at the office. I don't know what to do. I'm worried because it's basically my fault, right? It's my responsibility, and it's you never want the client, to lose his claim solely because of your fault. Yeah, that's independent practice 101, if you may. So what I did is I started going through SEC Manu Patra, and I found this one Karnataka High Court judgment, which basically said that a digital acknowledgement, even without being signed, is a valid acknowledgement under Section 18, valid and legal acknowledgement under Section 18. So now I found this, and I'm a little bit relieved. I think, okay, I have something to fight on. So I said, yeah, let's just draft it. I start to draft it and I finish it fatafat, and then I just prepare everything. I like everything. I kept everything in order so that I could file it the next morning, and then I finally go home. I hardly could sleep. But then the early morning I just came back. I finished all my work. I went and I filed it myself. I couldn't trust anybody because I didn't want a single more day to because if it comes to my argument not being accepted, so I'll have to fight on the delay, the days of the delay. So I filed it. It came up for hearing the next day, and I argued on the limitation aspect of it. The judges were reluctant at first because they were very very adamant. How is it possible and all that. But then it took some convincing, but then they finally accepted my premise. So they accepted the matter. They admitted the matter, they issued notices, and at the end of it, I was just very happy. I was like very okay. I was just so relieved. So much burden I lifted from my shoulders, I felt lighter. So then I just go back to my house and I just I doze off. So I did learn a few things here out of this. Like firstly, never don't look down on any matter. Like you may obviously have to prioritize some over the other, but that doesn't mean that you should neglect any matter just because you don't deem it essential. Like you were saying earlier, I shouldn't have deemed it like it's less substantial or anything. Secondly, what I say is that you should be diligent, you should be focused, you should be persistent. See, if there is a problem and you tackle it, right, more often if you tackle it, keep at it, you more often than not you will find a breakthrough. Just give it your 100% and then talk to your friends, talk to your trusted people, and things work out. This is what I feel, and I've been working on this principle, and it's been really helpful. And also, like I was saying, I was very confident on my principle, saying that okay, मुझे तो याद रहता है कुछ नहीं. I didn't have to write it down. But after this incident, I regularly maintain a to-do list. Okay, so I say, I owe this much to my client. I have to write everything down. I have to write. See, this is what initially happens, right? Initially, you don't have much. You have a limited number of clients. You may remember most of it, right? But as it goes ahead, things will get complicated. So it's much better. I maintain a to-do list, and I feel it's a must. You owe this much to your client. So yeah, like this is just one incident. Okay, there have been so many, and each has taught me so many things. And at the end of it, it just makes me a better lawyer for it. Yeah. Like I said, this is why we name it practice, right?
So it just came to my mind before you said it again.
Yeah. You keep learning from your mistakes. Yeah. That's practice.
So that's it. Thank you, Avinash, for joining us and explaining how did you started your independent practice, and how young lawyers should think about it of starting independently or getting other work done.
Hey budding lawyers, thank you for listening to the podcast. Hope you liked it. Do check out our YouTube channel and other social media pages. Links are in the description below. Thank you.